I just got done watching Talk to Me. This is absolutely going to be a horror film that many of you guys should put on your radar. It's currently not bought up as I'm reviewing this, but I just saw it at Sundance, and this is hands down one of the best midnight movies that I've seen in quite a while. And what a great little story this is, because it's directed by Michael and Danny Philippou, which, if you don't know those names, that is RackaRacka from YouTube. I grew up watching them, loving each and every one of their videos with the entertainment, the high qualityness, and also just a lot of the blood and gore that they would put on YouTube and absolutely get banned for. But for me, RackaRacka, seeing YouTubers be able to create and make a movie specifically in the genre that they very much are known for, that is something that I've been looking forward to. And, you know, we have Chris Stuckman's movies apparently coming out this year as well, so it's really cool that we're getting both of these. But Talk to Me is exactly what I wanted from them, and even exceeded my expectations from what I thought we were going to get. Because Talk to Me is about a group of friends who discover how to conjure spirits using an embalmed hand. They become hooked on the new thrill until one of them goes too far and opens the door to the spirit world, forcing them to choose who to trust, the dead or the living. This is again directed by the RackaRacka crew, these brothers, as well as written by Bill Heinzman, Daley Pearson, and Danny Philippou as well. Now, this movie, I don't even know where to start with this film, because it's like part Flatliners, part Evil Dead, and also kind of has vibes of like The Babadook and Hereditary to it all. And that's actually the aspect that most surprised me while watching this film, is the fact that they did have more than just the gore and guts that you've seen in their YouTube shorts. But when you watch YouTube videos, I think a lot of us forget that, like, it's very hard to put some emotional value into some of those, because they're trying to keep your attention. And the thing that I actually was so surprised by Talk to Me was I was expecting something like Terrifier or Saw, where it's just blood and guts and not a lot of meat to the story when it comes down to the emotional avenues. But that's actually the part that surprised me the most, was that Talk to Me actually features some of the best emotional stuff that I've seen in a horror film at a film festival in quite a while. And honestly, I actually hope that a big studio does pick up Talk to Me, because with everything kind of going on in the genre filmmaking, whether it's The Menu, Barbarian, this is the type of movie that deserves that type of filmmaking quality, and I am so impressed with what they were able to create here. Our main lead, played by Sophia Wilde, is the heart of this entire story and the journey that she's happening to go throughout here, specifically in the way that it touches on grief and loss and how that affects us going down the years. It doesn't matter how much time has actually passed, there's always that sensation still hurting you. And what happens when you do this new kind of thing to conjure spirits, because it's kind of like a drug, it's that obsession. And that's what I love about this, is that it's a great idea. Like, this could have easily just been a great idea of teenagers getting murdered and killed by spirits, and Evil Dead style humor and all sorts of things like that. And that's what I expected. I didn't expect for this to get as deep, and I love the film that we actually got here, because, you know, when you do get into them playing with this embalmed hand and conjuring spirits, it is creepy, it is freaky, it does get gory, it does get bloody. But all centered around that, again, is that emotional avenue that I can keep talking about for hours and hours, because I was just so impressed with the way that they weaved it into here. Because it could have easily come off as melodramatic, and that's what I always feel in a lot of different horror movies, that it's so melodramatic and it's not believable. But due to the directing, the writing, and of course Sophia Wilde, the lead performer in here's performance, that is the stuff that I was most impressed by. And Sophia, I mean, deserves all acclaims. Everyone else is pretty good in here too. Joe Bird has one moment in here particularly which was really intense. Alexander Jensen, Otis DeJohn, and Miranda Otto are also all fantastic in here. Really much the entire cast. There's not a single weak link, but going back and actually talking about the direction and writing is actually where I want to focus in on that movie, because the performances are great, but it is actually that concept that I was so fascinated by. Again, it has a little bit of Flatliners and Evil Dead all kind of mixed into there, but the deeper emotional rooted avenue from like Hereditary and The Babadook are also founded in this. But the whole concept of high school kids getting this embalmed hand and finding out that they can conjure spirits and get this kind of like high-like feeling from doing this is actually a really smart concept, because it is something that absolutely high schoolers would play around with. It's like if you did a Ouija board, but that Ouija board gave you this sensation that was unlike anything else. Not the scared sensation, but a sensation of a high-like feeling of doing a drug. And what happens when you become obsessed and want to keep doing that feeling? There's so many different ideas that you could run around with this, and so many different ideologies, But the center of it all is the way that they focus it around high schoolers. Like, this is something that high schoolers would do. They made it feel realistic to that. And in fact, it took me back to the days when I was in high school and I would be like, yeah, honestly, like, as stupid as I was, I probably would have tried this and probably been killed. Of course, as stuff starts to go wild, the one thing that I was really curious to see is how they were going to actually create these demonic things and these sequences, and thankfully to see that the brothers actually did still stick through with practical effects. Almost each and everything was practical, whether it was the blood, the makeup, and the way that they conjure up all these things are fantastic. And when it comes out of horror movies, the thing that's always such a hard landing is actually the ending of them all. They always end in such an okay-ish way, I feel like, and I feel like very few horror films can actually end a film in a grand way. And the way that this one ends is actually very full circle from the very first time that we had experienced this. And by the time it had ended, I sat there and I was like, that is a brilliant ending. And it really makes a little bit more sense for the entire concept, to where I didn't really have any more questions about this hand and where the hand come from. And that's sometimes a lot of issues that people have with horror movies, is the explanation of wanting to know of certain avenues of where things had happened. I can't express enough how much I love this movie. Talk to Me surprised me around every corner. I've been fans of the Philippou brothers YouTube channel ever since I could remember, and thankfully their feature debut is awesome. It's gross, it's gory, it's deeply emotional, it is scary, and it's flatliners for a new generation. I can't express enough how much this movie is worth seeing. If you can get a pass at Sundance, absolutely get it, because if you're a fan of horror, this one's going to be right up your alley. So with all that said, I'm going to give Talk to Me an A. Thank you once again, guys, for watching this. You guys are really all the best. Make sure to leave your thoughts down below. Hit that like and subscribe button. I cannot wait to see what these guys do next. We got a couple other reviews coming out today, so make sure to look out for those. And of course, until next time, stay classy.